Tom was a pretty average kid living in a pretty average house on a pretty average street. His life was so routine, he sometimes wondered if he was stuck in a TV show about boredom. Wake up, argue with his sister, eat bland cereal, go to school, come home, do homework, repeat. Tom spent afternoons staring out his window, wishing for something exciting to happen. Even the squirrels seemed to have more fun. Maple Creek's biggest event was a three-legged race at the Founders Day picnic. Tom devoured comic books about heroes and treasure hunters, but his own adventures were non-existent. The most thrilling thing he'd done was find a $20 bill and give it back. On this particular Tuesday, the boredom was unbearable. He tried video games, pillow forts, even teaching his dog to skateboard. Nothing worked. Then, in the back of his dad's garage, he spotted an old, rusty 10-speed bike. To Tom, it looked like a chariot, a ticket out of boredom. He felt a surge of energy. He didn't know where he'd go, but he knew he couldn't spend another minute staring out the window. Today, he'd find his own adventure. His great escape was about to begin. Getting the bike out of the garage was Tom's first challenge. It was tangled in hoses and covered in dust, but he wrestled it free. The chain was rusted, a pedal was missing, and the tires were flat. Tom grabbed his dad's toolbox and got to work, scrubbing the chain and finding a mismatched pedal. The old pump was broken, so he borrowed the car's air compressor to fill the tires. The bike was a Frankenstein's monster, but it was his. He wheeled it to the end of the driveway, heart pounding. He'd never just taken off before. Usually, he had to ask permission. But today, he was an adventurer. He pushed off, the bike wobbling and squeaking, but soon he was flying down the street. The wind felt like freedom. No map, no plan, just the open road. He passed the school, the grocery store, and headed for the old town park, a place he barely knew. For the first time, Tom felt like he was in his own story. He was officially on an adventure. The world seemed bigger, and so did he. He pedaled faster, chasing the unknown. Anything could happen now. The old town park was wild and overgrown, a world away from Tom's usual playground. He parked his bike by a wooden bridge and wandered down a dirt path, feeling like an explorer. Lost in thought, he nearly tripped over a girl crouched by a tiny turtle. "Watch it," she said, not looking up. "You'll scare it." Next to her, a boy with glasses scribbled in a notebook. The girl introduced herself as Lily and the boy as Sam. They were members of the Park Preservation Society, a club they'd invented to protect the park's wildlife. Lily was the leader, full of energy and animal facts. Sam was the record keeper, documenting everything in his notebook. They'd mapped the park, named the trees, and even had a secret handshake. Tom was fascinated. These kids were on a real adventure. Lily invited Tom to join their expedition for the day. Suddenly, Tom wasn't alone anymore. He was part of a secret society. The park felt magical, full of possibilities. Tom's boring day had turned into something extraordinary. He couldn't wait to see what happened next. Tom's first mission as a society member was to check on General Gopher, the park's unofficial mascot. But when they reached his burrow, disaster had struck. The entrance was a mess, and the General Gopher's HQ sign was broken. Lily gasped, and Sam examined the scene, pointing out large animal tracks. "Dog!" Sam declared. Everyone knew about Spike, the grumpy bulldog next door, famous for escaping and causing chaos. The mystery was clear. Spike had gopher-napped their mascot. Panic set in, but Lily started planning. Sam sketched the crime scene, labeling footprints in the broken sign. Tom realized he was in the middle of a real-life rescue mission. This was more intense than any comic book. The Park Preservation Society had its first crisis. They couldn't give up on General Gopher. Tom felt a mix of fear and excitement. The adventure was just getting started. The team huddled. This was now Operation Gopher Grab. Their mission: infiltrate Spike's backyard, rescue the general, and escape. Sam drew a map from memory, marking entry points. Tom hesitated. Mr. Henderson, Spike's owner, was as grumpy as his dog. But heroes don't back down. Sam would be lookout from a tree, Lily and Tom would sneak in through a loose fence board. They slipped into the yard, dodging dog toys and tennis balls. Spike was asleep, huge and intimidating, with the gopher trapped in a wire carrier beside him. Lily signaled, and they crept closer, hearts pounding. Every sound felt dangerously loud. They were just feet from the cage when Spike stirred, letting out a low growl. Tom froze. This was the moment of truth. He could run, or he could be brave. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. The rescue was on. Tom reached for the latch, determined not to let his friends down. This was his chance to be a hero. Nothing would stop him now. As Tom reached for the cage, Spike's eyes snapped open. But instead of attacking, Spike whined, a sad, worried sound. Mr. Henderson appeared, surprised to find the kids in his yard. Tom braced for trouble, but Mr. Henderson just sighed. He explained he'd found the gopher looking sick and brought it home to protect it from other animals. Spike hadn't kidnapped the gopher. He'd been trying to help. The villain was actually a hero. The kids were stunned. Their daring rescue was a misunderstanding. Mr. Henderson helped them check on General Gopher, who just needed some rest and water. Together they returned the gopher to his burrow and fixed the HQ sign. Mr. Henderson admitted he was lonely, and Spike was his only friend. The kids realized the grumpy old man and his scary dog weren't so bad after all. The adventure wasn't about fighting monsters, it was about understanding them. Tom felt a new kind of bravery, the courage to admit when you're wrong. The Park Preservation Society had gained 2 new allies. The day had turned out nothing like Tom expected. Sometimes the real adventure is seeing things differently. Tom smiled, feeling braver than ever. With General Gopher safe, the mission was a success. The Park Preservation Society had become a real team. As the sun set, Tom, Lily, and Sam sat on the bridge, laughing about their wild day. Tom realized adventure wasn't about fighting monsters. It was about being brave, making friends, and seeing the world with new eyes. He'd started the day alone, but now he had 2 friends and a story worth telling. Riding his squeaky bike home, Tom saw his average street differently. Adventure wasn't something you waited for, it was something you found. All it took was a rusty bike, a little courage, and friends to share the journey. Tom's life hadn't magically changed, but his outlook had. From then on, his afternoons were never boring. He became a permanent member of the Park Preservation Society. Together, they had many more adventures, mapping creeks, building birdhouses, and cleaning up the park. Even Mr. Henderson and Spike joined their patrols. Tom had found his adventure, and his friends. That was better than any comic book.